Hey, it's me, Sophie B, and I am finally giving you people the tutorial you deserve, okay? I had a lot of people asking about the eyeshadow look that I did in that video that's linked through the comment, and I'm going to show you exactly what I did. Buckle in, bestie. So I don't usually prep or prime my eyes with anything because I actually like to play to the natural discoloration that I have. However, just from doing my concealer and blending up my under eye concealer, I do sometimes just take the brush that I used for my concealing and I'll just bring that across my eyelids just to even everything out. But again, I'm not trying to blank slate my eyes. I kind of want to play into some of those purples, those mauves, that kind of tone. So we're just gonna roll with it. Then I'm gonna be using two different palettes. They're both from the same brand, Makeup by Mario. This is the neutral cool tone. This is the neutral 2 palette. Oh my gosh, wow, you can hear my accent in there. And then this is the Ethereal Eyes palette as well. I use a combination of these two to create the look that you saw in that video. Now with eyeshadow, I don't usually play around or do anything too crazy adventurous. I usually will just whack down a transition shade, build that up with a little bit of intensity, and then I like to put my eyeliner on, which was highly requested. So I'm gonna make sure that's the bulk of this video is the eyeliner. So to start, I like to just give a little bit of, because right now it's just all very one color, so I want to kind of give my eyes a little bit of emphasis. So I like to go in with this more neutral taupey, clearly my favorite taupey shade, on a fluffy brush. This is the old Jaclyn Hill Morphe collection, JH33 brush. I don't tap any of that extra product off, but I do immediately start tapping that. And I'm not windshield wiping or anything, I'm just tapping that into my natural crease, which if you're trying to find your natural crease, take a blank brush or even the end of your brush and then just kind of play around. Start by looking down, place it, and see, is that right in that crease of your eye? Then that's exactly where you want to apply. And I used to try to kind of connect this as a V, but I actually don't do that anymore because I found that because my eye shape is a little bit wonkier or more unique, when I try to connect that into a V, it just looks really artificial and less natural, like my eye shape. So I actually just tap it in almost like a little C motion and then I just leave it. Okay, and now you can see it's incredibly subtle. So unless you're like right up close, you're really not going to see that impact, but we're just starting to build up those layers. Now switching to the Ethereal Eyes palette, I'm going to go in with this almost like corpse gray tone. This type of shadow for blue eyes and fair skin, it's beautiful. But because it's a more intense shade, I do knock off a little bit of that excess. And I'm going to do the same technique we did last time, but since I have a smaller brush, I'm going to keep it in one area, but I'm still just tapping it on. And it looks really crazy, I know, but hang in there with me, okay? Looks crazy, but I just tap it just in a C. And this time I'm not bringing it as far in as I did that other tan shade. I'm mainly just keeping it out there. And again, no connecting. Then I go in with a completely blank, no shadow brush, and I will start to do that windshield wiper motion, just very gently, just until I see that start to melt together. One thing I learned, or had to learn really the hard way, is I am a chronic over blender when it comes to eyeshadow, and that's why it never shows up. And when I put it on, it just never looks like how I want it to, because I'm just so scared it's gonna look too much. I blend it away. So what you need to realize is that tapping it on is okay. You don't always have to swipe it on, and you don't have to give it too much of a blend. Just let it be, girl. And do you see how we're already getting a little natural emphasis? We're getting there. And then I believe in that video, I'm trying to recall because I kind of just wing it with my eyeshadow every day, but I believe in that video I picked up just a tiny bit of this pink, knocked practically all of it off my brush, and then I just tapped it over top as like a base for that glitter to go on. Yeah, that's right, baby. We're going into glitter. All right, and now I'm gonna go into the shimmers. I layered 2 shimmers from this Ethereal Eyes palette for that look. I started with this slightly, almost like a champagne-y taupey color, and I use my fingers always with these, and I tapped this through the inner corner until just past my pupil. I don't ever bring it out that far because it just looks a little silly when you do, so I don't always do that. Voila. Then I go in with the much lighter champagne tone I'm trying to think. I think I used this one, going with the lighter champagne tone. And I'm going to apply this. This is one of my favorite tricks, just above my pupil in a line. It kind of seems a little silly, but do you see the subtle difference that makes? It just draws the attention to the pupil. So especially if you have like love the color of your eyes, or you're trying to draw attention to your eyes, your pupils, your iris, this is a great trick to do because it just immediately draws it right to it, and it also makes your eyes look more round as well. Really fun trick, and you just use your finger. Easy peasy. All right, so we're getting there. It looks a little weird right now, I know, but now we're gonna do the eyeliner. Hold your breath, okay? This is hard. I'm scared. I go back to my Neutralize palette. I always when I'm doing my eyeliner will use a powder first, and then sometimes if I feel like I want to intensify it, I'll add a liquid on top, but usually most days I'm just wearing a powder. What I do is I start with this really almost blue toned cool gray, and I use a brow liner brush instead of an eyeliner brush because I find that the brow ones are razor thin compared to the eyeliner ones, which just tend to be a bit thicker and fluffier, and they're not as easy to get as sharp. So I take that gray shadow and I'm going to start right at my iris, and I'm just going to follow. You're going to see I'm not winging it out. I'm not drawing it in any special direction. I'm just tapping that powder shadow right along the natural lash line, not doing anything crazy, not dragging it out. I'm just following the natural shape of my eye. Perfect. I've done that to both. Again, the eyeshadow is always going to look atrocious until you put your mascara on, so never judge the eyeshadow look until you put your mascara on or your lashes on. Sometimes if I'm feeling a little fruity, a little feisty, I might bring it a little bit farther in, but I get dangerously close to like busted American Girl doll like energy when I do this. Sometimes it just makes my eyes look a little bit like lopsided and weird, so I don't always do this unless I'm feeling adventurous. So, and I like to just tap quite a bit of that shadow on. Again, still not winging it out, just following the shape of my eye. No winging, no anything. Then I go in with a teeny tiny little circular pencil guy, and I just run that not along that line, but mainly I'm focusing right on the top of that line. And again, don't be a vicious overblender like me. Just a couple of runs along that line are just enough to soften it and smoke it. You don't have to do anything extra. And do you see we're already starting to get a really soft looking wing? Now I'm going to show you how I actually build that shape. This is where I get a little antsy. Okay, I'm going into the dark black shadow on my liner brush. I tap it off once just so I don't have any fallout. And then what I like to do to start is, instead of winging and trying to go up and do this whole crazy thing, I actually just look straight forward and I will create a straight line going out. Do you see how my liner brush is not going up like this towards the top of my ear? It's going out this way. That is the key, and I'm going to show you. And I'll just stamp it. That's it. Just stamp it, keep it straight, going right through, if that makes sense. I found that doing an eyeliner that's more straight out rather than straight up is going to help to flatter my eye shape a little bit more, because my eye shape is just not, it does not suit that really pulled up eyeliner look like it suits a more straight out. It's kind of like that puppy dog liner that we were seeing, and if you're curious to know what that is, that's a great option if you're wanting more in-depth kind of tutorials on this. This is kind of like a spin on the puppy dog eyeliner trend that we were seeing in Korea. Now that I have that line sketched out, I'm essentially going to take what's remaining on my brush of that shadow and I'm just going to connect it. And sometimes you can fiddle with it, you can build it up, you can build it down, but really what I'm just doing is I'm connecting that straight line. And sometimes I can take them out really far, and sometimes I can just keep them really short. It really just depends on the day. But do you see how this is not up like a normal liner? It's just straight out from my eyes. That is the key. So if you were wondering how I got that kind of look for my eye shape, that's the kicker. Perfect. So now I'm going to curl my eyelashes and add mascara. I'm going to do that off camera because it's really not that important. I'll go in between using my Hourglass mascara, or I love the Maybelline Sky High. This is in black brown. I've also been using this quite a bit too. Like clockwork, every time I put mascara on, then my body is suddenly like, let's sneeze so hard. Why? And to finish it all off, I'm going to add just a tiny bit of black eyeliner. This is also Static Makeup black eyeliner, amazing waterproof liner, to my tight line. And voila! See, now, what did I say about the And I'll move you into different lighting so you can really see.